Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Hayes, and this is the continued adventure of one of the greatest video game dramas of 2021, the saga of the Dreamworld MMO RPG. Now, many people will know if you've been following the continued adventures of Dreamworld, which has been chronicled by many YouTubers. In fact, I even compiled a complete list of everything we know up until now in the latest video. You can go back and watch that if you need to. But March 21st was given as the date when the alpha would release. Wait to March 21st. March 21st is when all will be revealed. We were all promised that. And to be fair to Dreamworld, they hit that date. They didn't delay. They didn't ask for another week or another month or another year, although they probably should have done. They actually released an alpha to the Kickstarter backers on that date. Unfortunately, because of the way the alpha files were released and the way the pre-release keys were distributed to people, all of those files and all of those keys were then pretty much instantly shared around the YouTube gaming sphere. And one of those alpha files and one of those alpha keys found its way into the hands of the tenacious Callum Upton, who has joined up with YouTuber Skiazos, who has finally seen the light and gone over from being a Dreamworld supporter and joining our side to help unmask the scam. And now we can see what the actual Dreamworld Alpha really looks like. And no matter how bad you thought it was going to be, it's worse. Before we take a look, consider dropping a like on the video or subscribing to the channel for more MMO stuff. Ring the bell so you get all the latest notifications, and a massive thank you to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel going. So many, in fact, I'm going to have to find a way to reformat this list. More on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. A quick personal note before we really dive into this continued Dreamworld adventure. A few days ago, YouTube user Gregory Lenzo, who went on to change his name to Taquito Bandito, asked me in a comment why I was green screening a fake collection background behind me. He said that it was obvious the background was fake because it was out of focus, and whenever I moved my, as he quoted, smarmy British head, you could tell it was green screened behind. I informed him this was in fact my bedroom, and he said, "No, you're lying." I don't quite know why I'd lie about having a green screen background, but I said if I prove this was real, would you apologise? And he said he would, although I would be unable to prove it was real because it's very clearly fake. So, because I am incredibly petty and remarkably tenacious, you'll have to forgive and indulge me on this one. But I just want to have that there for the rest of the video, and to prove it's not a trick, I'll just move a few more things around, and I look forward to your apology in the comments. Right, back to Dreamworld. You may remember YouTuber Skiazos, the one who interviewed Zach and Garrison on his channel and was a staunch advocate for the Dreamworld game from early development. Well, he has clearly watched the videos put out by Kira, Callum and myself, and he has reconsidered his stance. And on May 20th, he uploaded the video Dreamworld Worst Alpha Game Ever. In this video, he's actually talking to Callum Upton, and we get to marvel at the absolute state of the Dreamworld Alpha. The game is laggy, the world is untextured, it's first person only. The city is literally made up of white cubes. The jumping animation clips the character model through the camera. The lighting is both sourceless and inconsistent. The shadows are non-existent. The collision detection just doesn't detect collisions. Almost nothing has any actual physical presence in the world. This honestly looks like an alpha of an alpha. This looks like a first-year game development student got drunk one night and saw what they could do with the Unreal Engine and all of the default stuff it comes with. Oh, and remember the Pirate Cove fly-through that was featured so heavily in the trailer? The one that Callum proved was just an unchanged default store-bought location? That's not even in the alpha. They have literally used trailer footage of assets they have bought but not included in the game. It's very important to realise that as humans, changing your opinion based on newly presented evidence is a hard thing to do. It's very easy to trick someone, it's very hard to convince someone they've been tricked. And people do not like changing their opinion. There is the anchor fallacy, where the first thing you see, you assume is the logical, correct thing all the time. The fact that Skiazos is willing to step back, analyse his position, and say, I was wrong, is something that is to be commended and respected. So we should definitely appreciate the fact that he's been able to do that. He's not just a mindless follower. With that said, let's sit back and watch some of the fantastic gameplay that Skiazos gives us for the alpha.
I have been living in a dream world for the past 4 months, and I have finally woken up to reality. Everyone was expecting to see. You ready to see what we actually got to see? This is what we actually see. This is 4 months of work. 4 months of work. These little squares down on the bottom and over here, these are the building plots that you can build on if you're assigned to that specific location. We're not exactly sure what these white blocks are. They could be building plot areas, or they could just be freaking white blocks for placeholders for buildings that they wanted to put in but didn't have time to put it in. This game is gonna be a scam, and there are gonna be legal actions against them. There's no other way that this is possibly anything but.
Skiazos was brave enough to release this video titled Dreamworld Scam I Have Come to Reality. In it, he explains how he was taken in by the promises and now he has seen the unfortunate alpha. At 8 minutes and 30 seconds in this video, we see him try to explore the distant lands, which are not procedurally generated by each user. They simply feature a mountainous landmass which is blocked by distance-based fog, and it just loads in as he gets close. You can see the city is even less textured than before. In fact, the only buildings with texture are the store-bought pre-rendered buildings arranged around the central Pantheon. The Pantheon itself is placed in the middle of a massive blank white expanse, almost like standing inside a ping pong ball. The reason he's not chatting to anyone else is because the game does not currently have a chat function. It cannot display text player to player. This is not a game, this is a large open virtual expanse with some assets placed in it. Later that day, he also uploads Breaking Dreamworld Asset Overload. This is an upload of a live stream where Skiazos is talking to multiple people, including YouTuber Smilin' Island. The purpose of this stream was to abuse the Dreamworld feature of inserting assets into the game, and 2 hours in, Skiazos places an absolutely massive wall of peppers. Those assets will, in theory, never ever unload. At 3 hours and 44 minutes in, we can see the pepper wall has grown so massive it now fills up the screen and dominates a substantial 3D space. The purpose of this is to highlight how abusable this system is. Anyone exploring Dreamworld as a new player will now essentially need to load in a massive amount of data when they discover the pepper asset bomb. On May 21st, the day of the alpha release, Callum Upton puts out another video, simply titled Dreamworld Alpha is Here. In the video, he shows an extremely bland, shovelware-looking game, and if you look at his inventory on the right-hand side, you'll see he's found a way to underflow his resource cap and currently has minus 2,147,483,648 resources. If you're a developer or a RuneScape fan, you will recognise this number because it's the largest number you can write with a 32-bit binary string. How did he glitch the game within 5 minutes of having it to absolutely max out all of his resources? You'll have to go and watch Callum's video to find out. I don't want to spoil it. It's linked in the description. But here's a puzzling question. Skiazos had access to the alpha files because he was, up until recently, an ardent supporter of this project. How did Callum Upton get access to the files? And a more pertinent question, is there tea in this mug? Of course there isn't. It'd be a nightmare to clean. There's tea in the other mug. Callum gained access to the alpha files because distribution of the alpha files wasn't done via any secure server. They were uploaded to Google Drive and then shared via public, free file sharing sites. The link was then shared on public discords, and anyone was able to download the alpha. It was discovered that logging into the alpha required use of a key or a long token. However, the tokens were not single use, nor were they tied to the computer that used them first, meaning as soon as you had access to a token, and tokens were shared almost instantly, anyone was able to download and play the alpha files of Elysium. I'm sorry, Dreamworld. They still call it Elysium in the files. Now you'll notice I'm showing footage from Callum and Skiazos' playthrough of this absolutely atrocious alpha and not showing any of my own gameplay footage, and there's a simple reason for that. I absolutely do not trust the game executable or any files included in the download. While I have the same access to the download as everyone else, I don't trust anything about it. Callum and Skiazos are heroes and trailblazers for not only installing this mess of a game, but for playing it for several hours so we can marvel at the awfulness. Links to both of their channels are below in the video description, and if you're not subbed to them, I'd recommend you consider it. Skiazos has shown he's totally willing to change his mind based on presented evidence, and Callum wants to move into exposing Kickstarter scams full-time on his channel, which is a noble aim. The footage of the alpha is beyond awful. This is unforgivably bad. This looks like a corrupted game. It looks like something broke. It's not just unfinished, it's hardly started. And if you think I'm being harsh to this and saying, oh, it's only an alpha or an early release, Factorio was an early release when it was basically finished. And Mortal Online 2 was an alpha and is super playable despite having flaws. This is not an alpha. This is a bunch of assets smashed together and shoveled out. This game has no vision beyond trick people out of money. It has no systems unique to it. It has no games design passion behind it. This game was made by two people who have absolutely no love for the MMO genre or the MMO player base in any way. This is a scam. A pure, unadulterated, sickening scam. The Pyramid Scheme Kickstarter, the distribution of the alpha file on file sharing sites, the lack of security on logging in, the fact the executable is still called Elysium, the incomplete nature of the game, the city of white cubes, the awful frame rate, the lack of anything they promised being in the game actually being in the game, the assets never unloading and causing data bombs, the systems not working, the hackable nature of the resource counters and the client, the fact the Pirate Bay doesn't even appear. This is disgusting. Do you know what I think the biggest mistake they made was? Trying to scam the MMO RPG community. Wearable Bluetooth tech, no one cares. 10 a penny. Everyone in Silicon Valley is trying to make wearable Bluetooth tech. It's a drop in an ocean. It comes, it goes, no one cares. A fashion brand like Baron, no one's going to remember that. No one's going to wear it. No one's going to miss it. It's going to come and go. But the MMORPG landscape is a bit more tenacious. The Lazy Peon put out a video called The Absolute State of the MMORPG Genre. MMORPG players have been crying out for a new game. People are desperate for something new to explore, and when this game came along and said, we will be everything you ever want and more, it did the one thing scams shouldn't do. It got everyone's attention. Everyone was looking at this. Everyone was scrutinizing it. And MMORPG players are some of the most dedicated, the most pedantic gamers in the world. They will data mine everything you put out. So you tried to scam a load of players who specialize in researching data. There's no way this is going to go well for you. Zach has a proven history of starting and then abandoning projects, and if Zach and Garrison had chosen any other Kickstarter scam, such as a board game, or a single-player RPG, or a 3D model printing service, interest would have come and gone, but they chose the MMO RPG. Scams work, and scammers get away with it when the interest dies down, when they get in, get the money, and get out. And that is what they wanted and were hoping would happen here, to fly under the radar and leave by daybreak. But Callum wanted to expose them. Kira wanted to expose them. MMO Byte refused to take money from them. Slopes Game Room wanted to expose them. I wanted to expose them. And you, dear viewer, wanted to see the scam exposed. The MMORPG community has its faults, there's no doubting that, but MMO players in general are detail-focused, they research things to an unhealthy degree, and often have a lot of free time. And now with Callum focusing on exposing these scams weekly, hopefully we'll see far fewer of them. As I said earlier, I am actually genuinely surprised they stuck to their March 21st date, and that does deserve a bit of respect. You can look at the rest of the project and go, this is completely trash, but the fact they stuck to that date is impressive. How long would they have had to delay it to make something worthwhile, something playable, something that we've not seen before? A week? A month? A year? I'd probably say about 5 or 6 years with a team of trained professionals. You know, about the time it takes to create an MMORPG from scratch. The alpha was everything we wanted it to be. It was terrible. It was awful beyond expectation. It's an empty world with broken systems and a hackable client, and by many metrics isn't even a game. It's not even a tech demo, because you're not showing what you can do beyond what already exists. It is literally, here are some assets that I bought in a big virtual space. Enjoy. This isn't a game. This is rubbish. For now, all we can do is sit back and see if they improve it, which I don't think they will. We could see if we get in-game chat, or texture, or resources that can't just be altered client-side. What improvements will Dreamworld receive? Only time will tell. For now, we'll leave this white, squared, glitchy mess in the hands of the superstar ex-Google engineer and the 9-year game developer. Don't worry, I'm sure they know what they're doing. Oh, and Zach and Garrison, if you do make a playable alpha and you want someone to actually test it and give you genuine, honest feedback, I'll do it. For free. Send me a game, send me a key, and I will honestly tell you what I think. I cannot promise I will not put it on the worst MMO ever series. As for today, thanks for watching, and thank you very much to Callum and Schiazzo for doing some absolutely fantastic research and keeping this subject going and keeping it in the public eye. Massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch for keeping the channel going. You can support this channel from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to Callum and Schiazzo's channel, the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter and our Discord, and as always, have a great day.